Hi everyone, we have now 35 people. Welcome everyone to the very first webinar of AEDIB. I think we are gonna wait for some minutes in order for people to join. Just in the meantime, please be aware that this meeting is gonna be recorded for educational purposes and also will be possible to be shared in the future with the attendees. In regard with how we are gonna present the webinar, it's gonna be a three-stage session. The first one is gonna be hosted by Mark, who is here with us. He's gonna be giving us a very generic pitch about the project. Later, there will be some space for some questions. And later we are gonna follow up with Rafael, who is gonna go in depth on in regard with the guide for applicants and how to apply for the project and many details. And later the third part is gonna be dedicated to answer question and answer you might have. So you have a chat box here in the platform. Feel free to use it. We will make sure you will get your answer. So I'm seeing now 41 new attendees. Well, welcome everyone. When you are okay to start, Mark, feel free. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Alessandra, for that very nice introduction. And I'm really, really thrilled to have this opportunity now to present to you the African-European Digital Innovation Bridge. And as Alessandra has said, maybe introduced, this is part of a two-webinar series. So there's going to be also the second webinar in January, and they're consecutive. So we also highly recommend you to register for the second part of the second webinar in January. Today we're going to, let's say, more stimulate you and hopefully give you some food for thought on how to phrase and frame your application. And then in the second webinar, we're going to go into much more detail in terms of really the application form itself. Having said that, as we said, we want to encourage you as well to register for the second webinar. I'm very honored and very thrilled as well to have such huge interest from your side into the project itself. And maybe let me say a few words about the African-European Digital Innovation Bridge. Now, this is an initiative that has been launched with the overall objective to strengthen African innovation ecosystems, to connect them among each other, and then to connect them with the European innovation ecospace. Now, this overall, at the very end, is ambition, and it's really a very, let's say, ambitious ambition of creating a single market between Africa and Europe for digital innovation to flourish, and that is of mutual benefit for both continents. Now, this initiative has been launched on a, let's say, rather high political level last year. So the European Commission's President, Ursula von der Leyen, various heads of member states of the European Union, and various heads of states of the African Union have announced this initiative, the African-European Digital Innovation Bridge, last year. Now, to not just have that as a political initiative, the European Union has commissioned a project, and that's the AEDIB project. And this is a project where 14 strong members come together, they team up their strengths to deliver and implement this vision of strengthening innovation ecosystems, linking them among each other, and then link them to Europe. Some of those members of this AEDIB consortium may be familiar to you. We, as GIZ, we are the coordinating agency, but we have other members that maybe you've worked before with, such as AfriLab, ABAN, BC4A, Smart Africa as our main political partners, and then we have also actors from the European innovation space, such as the European Business Network or Funding Box, who are also managing this invitation for the Digital Innovation Hub that we'll be speaking today about on behalf. So this is, I think, a very strong consortium. Now, within AEDIB-Net, I mean, we all know that there was various ways on how you can strengthen African, or how you can strengthen digital innovation ecosystems. And within AEDIB-Net now we have this opportunity to trial it, pilot, and validate a few instruments to see which ones work, with the overall ambition later on to scale this really up. Now, some of those activities and instruments that we are piloting here is something like, an ecosystem mapping for selected countries. We have more on the policy level, something called the Digital Intergovernmental Forum. Also for policy actors, we will be providing a toolkit and a handbook on policy reforms. Our partner, Annabelle, is developing a digital entrepreneurial skills academy that is focusing on marginalized and vulnerable groups and how to enhance their digital entrepreneurial skills. Then maybe the most dominant instrument, and that's why we're all here today, is establishing digital innovation hubs. And we'll learn more about that more in detail throughout the webinar today. But we're also having this thematically themed angel investor networks. We have virtual community marketplaces. There's going to be study trips between Africa and Europe. There's going to be a transcontinental virtual internship program between African and European actors, innovation boot camps, and also activities to link the diaspora communities to innovation actors, and many more. Now, the good thing here is that all of these activities that are listed here, they are open to those 12 digital innovation hubs that we're accepting as the first phase. Having said that, as well as it's you may be aware about, out of those 12 digital innovation hubs, we as the AEDIB-Net can only provide financing to 3 selected out of those 12 that we initially select. Having said that, we still want to, or we still encourage you to really hand in applications, because we are working very hard towards providing finances also to those 9 that may not receive the funding. And as you may have seen before, that there is a strong political will to do that. So it's not something we can commit to at this stage, but I can say that the likelihood is very high that we can also provide the equal funding to those proposals who are not accepted as part, or who won't be awarded with the funding out of this specific project. So the bottom line is, please hand in an application. Even though maybe you won't, maybe even if you're not going to be selected as part of the 12, as I've said, we're scaling up. If you hand in the application, you're on our radar. If we have opportunity to enhance and make the whole bigger, we can connect to you. So please, hand in applications, and hopefully we are along this way here to support you on that and make that process as smooth as possible. Now, I mean, you have heard that word digital innovation hubs now quite a lot. So let me use this opportunity to go a bit more into detail on what the digital innovation hubs are and the concept. And before I do that, as Alessandra has said, if you have questions, please use this WebEx functionality where you can post the questions, and then later on at the end of my session, we have something like 5 minutes to answer something. If we can't cover all of the questions at this stage, either we're going to do that at the very end, or we will use the forum that is available via the application website to provide answers on those. Now, what is a digital innovation hub? Now, a digital innovation hub, and this is a 1-sentence summary here, is, and I'm just going to, a digital innovation hub is a coordinated group of organizations, expertise, and a public benefit objective, offering services and activities to companies to support their digital transformation innovation through a one-stop shop. That's a long sentence. It contains lots of information. And in the next slides, I'm going to speak a bit more about what we mean when we speak about coordinated group organizations, what we mean when we speak about complementary expertise, what is the public benefit objective, and what are the set of services and activities that should be offered. Now, before I do this, maybe one thing that we realized when we had initial talks, maybe even with some of you who are today with us in the webinar, is that we have realized that this, let's say, phrase of a digital hub can be sometimes a bit misleading, or it is already, let's say, connotated with a certain idea. Usually when we speak about tech hubs, we mean organizations that run accelerator programs, incubator programs, that run, that offer co-working spaces and so on, mainly for startups and tech entrepreneurs. Now, this is also maybe part of what a digital innovation hub can provide and do. However, a digital innovation hub is, let's say, primarily targeting companies, small and medium-sized enterprise, and support them in their digital transformation. So think about this. If we think about agriculture, your potential clients for digital innovation hubs are the cooperatives, is your agro dealer, maybe your logistics companies, your processor, your off-taker. So organizations, companies that run already a certain business, but they are not yet using digital technologies to their full potential. And the Digital Innovation Hub is there to support those companies in adopting digital technologies and innovations, and help them to leapfrog and unleash the full potential of that. Now, I think it's a very important point to clarify at the beginning. Now, when we speak about a coordinated group of organizations, the way that you can think about it is that there is two or more entities or organizations that team together and they form the core of the Digital Innovation Hub. Now, why do we say it should be two or more entities? There is two reasons behind this. The one reason is that, as we will see later on, that there is, I think, no organization that can cover the entire expertise areas or the set of services and activities they were looking out for. The second reason is that we also know that innovation ecosystems emerge with a collaboration of actors, them working together jointly on projects, them teaming up forces. So we want to encourage and stimulate this collaboration already at this stage. Now, having said that there should be two entities that team up together, that doesn't mean now, if we look later on at the application, Raphael will go more into details, that you need to have something formally signed at this very stage. So all what you would need at this stage is knowing with whom to partner, who can complement your expertise, who can then at the very end help you to provide those set of services and so on. And as part of the process, once you're selected, there will be also support in terms of how to legally capture that or capture that in a formal way in these collaborations. Now, what does it mean to be the core entity of a digital innovation hub? What is that meant with the digital innovation hub? And I think still the best metaphor and how you can envision that is think about these as being the orchestrator of your local innovation ecosystem. So that if a certain request comes in from a company in an adoption of a certain digital technology, the Digital Innovation Hub should be there to mobilize those actors in the local innovation ecosystem, pull from their strengths to put together a team that can then deliver on this project towards the companies. So they are, let's say, kind of the orchestrator, mobilizers. Therefore, they also need to have, let's say, a solid grounding in the local innovation ecosystem and have a certain credibility for the actors within that ecosystem to work jointly together. Now, a digital innovation hub has a limited geographical scope in terms of the innovation ecosystem that it's supporting and that it's drawing its strengths from. The service delivery of a digital innovation hub, that could be nationwide, that could be regional, that could be pan-African, it could be even globally. There is no restriction in that. But the main point here is that it got to be firmly grounded in the local innovation ecosystem and know the actors and draw the strengths from these actors. Now, what could be core entities, and we'll see that later on. It's something like usually university research institutes. We have our, let's say, tech hubs, those incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces. Could be R&D units of private sector companies. It could be training institutions. It could be even, let's say, more traditional actors such as industry chambers or industry associations, chambers of commerce, financial institutions, and the like. But we don't have any, let's say, formal restriction on what type of companies or organizations can apply. In the very end, what counts is that you have a convincing, let's say, proposal, an idea, and vision on what you want to achieve there. then there is no formal restriction in terms of the organization that can apply. Now, what are the expertise areas that we're looking out for? There's 4 expertise areas that a digital innovation hub should provide, or that the organization should complement each other. The first one is technology. Again, there is no requirement from us as what that technology can be. So it could be artificial intelligence, blockchain, drones, just to name the usual culprits, but it could be also mobile broadband technologies. It could be, you know, basically anything, but there should be a partner within the consortia that has a strong technology expertise. Now, technology, we also know, can usually be applied in lots of different areas, so there should be also someone in the consortia that has an application area expertise in how to use, for example, artificial intelligence, whatever, image recognition, or in pattern recognition, or the like. Lastly, from a subject matter perspective, there should be this expertise from the sector, the sectorial expertise. So someone who knows then, or who can support and complement on how to use a certain technology in a specific application area in the larger sector. That could be agriculture, smart cities, and so on, something that we will be briefly discussing later on. And lastly, encompassing that all is financing, because we all know that digital technologies come with a price tag, be that for hardware, software, licenses, or whatever. So also the Digital Innovation Hub, or the entity, should have that financing expertise. It doesn't need to mean that they need to provide the financing themselves, but they should be knowledgeable about the financial instruments that are available in the local innovation ecosystem, and about the suitability of certain instruments for certain projects. Now, the public benefit objective basically opens up that opportunity that also private sector companies can apply and can become core entities. Because what we're saying here is that it is okay, because we know that if we look at innovation ecosystems, that most of the actors, or not most, but some of the actors, need to look out for their self-financial sustainability, because of the lack of availability of public funding lines and the like. So what we're saying here is that it is okay if you make enough money, obviously, to keep your operations flowing, if you maybe make a bit of profit, as long as it's not the primary objective. So the primary objective of a digital innovation hub is to strengthen your local innovation ecosystem and to support your companies in their digital transformation. And if this is a public benefit objective, and through this you make a bit of profit, that's okay, as long as it's the primary objective and not as it's a structural thing that you build in here. Basically opening it up a bit towards the private sector. So this is why we're saying what we mean when we speak about public benefit objective. Now, the four set of services that a digital innovation hub should cover. The first, even though they don't have a sequence, but I always start with this one, is test before invest. And as the name suggests, a digital innovation hub should allow companies to try out and test digital technologies before they actually take the financial means to invest in them and buy them and purchase them. So think in a way about this as allowing companies to establish if there is a positive return of investment in a specific technology. Having said that, again, there is no, let's say, requirement from our end on how that can look like. It can take various shapes and forms. It can go from, providing access to physical experimentation facilities, or providing access to hardware devices. It could be providing access to test or simulation data. It could also be providing access to user groups and lead users to validate a certain project, value proposition. So again, there is no restriction restriction requirement from our end, just meaning that you should have an idea or some vision on how you would, as a digital innovation, would cover this test before investment. Then, after a company has validated benefits of using a technology, then obviously they need to purchase it, and this is where the access to finance part now comes in. Now, this, as I've said before, doesn't necessarily need to mean that the digital innovation hub needs to provide the financing themselves. There are examples where a digital innovation hub provides financing, but it should basically be the knowledge about what are the financial instruments available in the local innovation ecosystem. And again, there's no requirement as what they could be. It can go from, let's say, more traditional and say formal types of financing, such as credits and loan, with traditional financial institutions. It could be investment options, be that impact investors, angel investors, and the likes. But it could also be informal types of financial instruments, such as crowdfunding campaigns or diaspora funding. So again, no restriction. But if you think about your application and think about your local innovation ecosystem, you can already start maybe having some idea on how this set of services could look like in your areas. And again, at this stage, it's not required that you need to have the full details on that, but just at least some ideas that then if you will be selected, that during the capacity development, and Raphael will be speaking later on, that you will be able to provide more details on that. Now, we have assumed that we have or the company has validated the benefit, they have secured the investment. Now, third, they need someone to operate the digital technologies. And this is where the skills and development part comes in. Now, this is basically targeted at the employees and the companies to have those skills that are required or that are necessary to properly use the digital technologies. And then the fourth set of the four service areas here is the ecosystem building, which naturally happens if you do all the three other things. Then the ecosystem that's a kind of given. But again, this can take various shapes and forms, such as doing regular events, networking events. But what we're also seeing that if university or academic institutions are involved in Digital Innovation Hub, that they, for example, sponsor PhD positions or master students, that they can work on real-life projects within the Digital Innovation Hub, and therefore increase their employability later on in the market, or maybe they do spin-offs and the like. So this is just some ideas on what the ecosystem building block could look like. And we are very, very curious to see what is your ideas on how you would cover those set of services and activities. Now, lastly, the companies, and I've said that already before, we wouldn't restrict anyone from becoming a client of Digital Innovation Hub, right? So please don't understand this as being an exclusive slide, so anyone can be. However, we recommend at this piloting stage that you focus on small and medium-sized enterprises and support them in their digital transformation. Startups, of course, they can be customers as well, in terms of if there is an innovation project that they want to work with, or they have to pull in resources. Of course, that is. And also multinationals or mid-caps. Obviously, they can also be customers, but usually have their own means of financing and so on. And lastly, public sector, yes, of course, but we all know that public sector, as you know, is in desperate need of digital transformation. I think that's a global phenomenon. But it has certain type of, let's say, specific requirements in terms of decision making and purchasing and so on, that during this piloting phase, we rather recommend focusing on the small and medium-sized enterprises. Now, with that, I'm through with my tour de force of the concept of digital innovation hubs, and also with the introduction of the AEDIB project. So with that, I think we have, let's say, a few minutes, 5 minutes maximally for questions, if there are any. So I would then ask Alessandra if there are questions, maybe to speak them aloud or to read them out.
Hi, Mark. Then, yes, we do have one question. So it's basically, yes, first question is going to be the focus on SME. So if you can explain better in deep what we mean with SME and which kind of SME we are looking for and targeting. And the other one, basically, if you can explain better in depth how to like if the European university are eligible for this proposal, and what's happened if it's not possible to find an association or like a co-support, and somebody wanted to apply in order to be the first SME. So only one specific entity. Okay.
Okay, so this I have 3 questions, so I hope I keep in mind and maybe tackle them one by one. So the first question was about basically how we define small and medium-sized enterprise, I guess. So what do we mean by this? Again, there is no, let's say, formal requirement from us. It's just kind of more the mindset. So, and that very much depends on what is the theme that you're later on working on. I'm pulling that still up. So we basically have 4 different themes that you can apply to, and as part of the application, you have to choose one of them. So it's either climate smart agriculture, digital trade, smart cities, and clean tech. That's the 4 categories that you will have to choose from. And obviously, the type of, let's say, customers and SMEs will vary very much depending on what's going to be your area of specialization. As I've said before, in agriculture, you would be most likely working, or we would expect your cooperative, your agri-dealer, your off-taker, your logistics companies, your processor, your marketplace operator, your maybe even importer or exporter to be customer of these ones. And as we said, usually what we mean by that is that these should be companies that are already established, that run a certain business, but they're not yet using digital technologies because maybe they're not aware about it, or maybe they have just very, let's say, burden or not burden, an obstacle in adopting that. And the Digital Innovation Hub should be there as a one-stop shop to support them, to encourage them, to lower the barrier for them to adopt digital technologies. If we look for digital trade, there could be really your manufacturing companies, again, your logistics companies, your distributors, your importers, exporters. In smart cities, it very much depends on what area of smart cities you're focusing on. But it could be, for example, if you focus on mobility as part of smart cities, it could be your transportation companies, your parking space providers, your bus companies and the like. And for clean tech, it's kind of the similar thing. So it very much depends on what is your area, how the SMEs will look like. But again, as we've said, it's just, let's say, a recommendation from our side to do that. We're not excluding anyone from becoming a potential client of Digital Innovation Hub. Now, this was question 1. Question 2, I'm not 100% sure what there was anymore, but then maybe because I remember question 3, and then maybe Alessandro can help me out with question 2. Question 3 was, if you don't find a partner, can you register alone, or can you apply alone? In that sense, not really, no. What we can do is that if you really are very interested in this application and you don't find anyone, then we can facilitate that. For that, please reach out directly to us so we can look out within your country, within your local area, if we have contacts for you to team up. But in general, it is a requirement that you got to be at least 2 entities to apply. Now, please help me out with the second question that I've dropped.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, the second question was regarding the kind of like the typology of SMEs. And also I wanted to take advantage also to clarify the localization of DIH, that we know it's also a very interesting topic. So yeah, in the African territory, yeah.
There was a question about the universities, right? Now I remember. There was a question about whether a European university would be eligible to apply.
Exactly, yes, as well, yeah.
Maybe let me tackle that question then about the locality, and then probably we move on to Raphael's slot. But I will take those 2. And then those questions we can't answer, we'll have time at the very end or later on at the forum to answer that. So European universities, or let's say universities or general organizations that are not within the local innovation ecosystem, they can apply. The requirement is that at least half of the consortium members, so if you have two, at least one, if you have four, at least two of them, need to have the majority of its operation in the local innovation ecosystem. So they need to have that strong grounding and footprint in that locality, and they need to have that credibility. If then they decide to team up with someone outside of that, perfectly fine. If they look at their expertise areas and they see that they're missing, for example, certain technology expertise or sectoral expertise, and they have already relationships with an organization outside of that localization, or maybe outside of the country, maybe outside of the continent, perfectly fine to loop them in, as long as half of the consortium members are focusing or are solidly grounded in the local innovation ecosystem. And then the question was about the localization of them. We're not going to say it's a radius of 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers. That doesn't really make sense, because it very, very much, again, depends on where you're working. If you're in a big metropolitan area such as Nairobi or Lagos with a very vibrant ecosystem, well, that's already probably even already too large as ecosystem. But then, for example, would be something. So it's most likely going to be, I would say, rather your, let's say, urban centers or your regions, and your, let's say, municipalities or your councils within the countries that you should be looking out for if this is suitable, depending on as well on the size of the country. So if you have a country like Rwanda, then of course you can, your ecosystem is going to be most likely the entire part of Rwanda. But if you look like to Nigeria, you're going to be much more focused in terms of what is your innovation ecosystem to draw from. So it could be whatever Lagos, but it could also be Edo State or other localizations in that. So again, here is no, let's say, formal requirement from our end as to you really have to define in terms of kilometers or whatever. What we are asking for is a bit that you know your ecosystem, a bit the who is included in that, and where's a bit of the boundaries of that. But then at the very end, that's up as well. And we're very curious and very eager to learn from you as how you define your local innovation ecosystem. So I hope I could answer those questions. If not, please feel free to drop another one to clarify that. As I said, I'm very much eager to answer that. And being available later on as well to answer that. Because with that, I would hand it over to Raphael to explain us more in detail on the call procedure itself.
Perfect. Yes, thanks, Mark. Then we will switch to Raphael now, that he can start to explaining us more in detail about the project.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Raphael Zabala from Funding Box. I will be introducing you to the invitation that we have prepared for to participate in what we are calling, and I would explain further, is the pre-commercial procurement process that we will go through for you to intervene, participate in our project, right? So what we're going to see today is you see. Okay, what we're going to see is we're going to talk about the invitation. We're going to explain the procurement process, and we're going to explain the evaluation process you will go through. Okay. Now, the first point I wanted to bring up is, of course, giving you a warm welcome to the webinar, and I am very honored to be here. You give me the opportunity to explain in something that we've been working on already for some time, and that we are actually right now giving birth to it. Right now, as Mark anticipated, with these webinars are going to be two with this double step approach. The first one is the explanation of the invitation, how to prepare your proposals, and the next one we will try to go more deeply in the clarify specific issues about the first cutoff, right? Before the first cutoff, especially regarding specific questions or aspects of the preparation of your proposals. Now, there are three aspects in these webinars that the two webinars will share. Is number one is that we will have time for us to explain the invitation. We will have time for your questions. We will provide enough time for your questions to clarify, because with your questions we learn more and we improve at the same time. And there will be also opportunity to know a little bit more each other, in the sense that we will understand better your questions and your aspirations, and at the same time, we hope that we will know a little bit more about the profiles that are approaching us, so we can better focus on the solutions and provide you and facilitate your participation. Now, we have four objectives: clarify doubts and concerns regarding the invitation, provide a clear picture of what participants will acquire participating in the project, of course, because this project, as you will see right now, it's a give and take. Let's say we both receive, and we both provide. We will inform about what participants commit and their obligations toward the project, and we will provide information for you to make the best proposal. So let's get into that. First of all, with a survey, a first survey that we have in order to know a little bit better about you, a little bit more about you, and it is regarding the region of Africa where you are from. I think Alessandra, you can make the survey appear for the participants to drive their questions, and we will see after, and we will see their responses. Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, please find the very first question. Okay, Rafael, you can see the first results.
I don't see them. No, I don't see the results. Do you see them?
Yes, so the participants should be able to see it. Anyways, we have 43% of Eastern Africa.
Okay.
Later, we have 32% of Western Africa, 17% of Southern Africa, and with both 4% Central Africa and Northern Africa.
Okay. Okay. So this shows that maybe that there's a real there's a bias in the participation that we might have to correct in order to make a more equal distribution along the project. We will see. But in any case, you are all extremely welcome to the project. Thank you very much for your answers. Okay. So I want to go a little bit in the explanation of the procurement process. So this word which might sound strange. And why are we calling this a procurement? Why is it called a procurement process? Well, because actually we are buying your participation. We are providing you some services, and at the same time you are providing us information that will allow us to improve in our in our development of the project. You have to understand, and this I want to make very clear, that we are two innovators here. Actually, this project is an innovation. It is a Horizon 2020. Horizon 2020 is the program of the European Commission for research, development, and innovation. So actually, this is not an international cooperation funding. It is not the typical international cooperation funding. It is not either coordination and support action. It is innovation. So we are asked by the Commission to deliver results in terms of an innovation. And what is that? Well, mainly the two aspects. First, knowledge about the implementation of digital innovation hubs in Africa. And the second one, the implementation itself as an innovation project. And here is yourselves who are innovators, you are entrepreneurs who are going to develop. Now, we have to see that your DIHs are extremely important for the European Commission, and have been and demonstrated that their importance in two aspects. First, the development of digitalization and innovation within SMEs or within, let's say, certain industrial sectors. But at the same time, it is an absolutely essential and very interesting concept to introduce policies. It has an effect of capillarization. So DIHs are an instrument for policies, and therefore it is clear also that promoting, fostering DIHs and their activities will enable development and growth. What is behind this? What is a pre-commercial procurement? A pre-commercial procurement is a tool to stimulate innovation, as it enables the public sector to steer the development of new solutions directly towards its needs. It is somehow, as I said, or very clear, it is the public administration, in this case ourselves, who are working for the public administration, in this case the European Commission, who use this instrument as an innovator for its projects, who steers the innovation in certain in specific areas and specific directions. So it is an important approach to public procurement of research and development, and that includes, of course, innovation. Now, what is a pre-commercial procurement invitation? Actually, it is a call, but it is an offer for organizations, in this case, DIHs or consortia, DIH project consortia, who have products and services, in this case, yourselves, with services or with the development of your activities in a pre-commercial stage. This is very important, to enter into a competitive selection process, after which, if you are selected, you will receive funding to develop your products and services on the basis of a cooperation agreement, which will be signed with us, with AEDIB, and that will guide the project development. I mean, in this sense, again, there's a change. We are not providing money. We are additionally providing money for you to develop, but we are also part of your development, and we require that you go in the direction that we are establishing. This mainly is made in terms of guidelines and training. This is what we want. Actually, what we are doing is implementing a European concept of digital innovation hub in the African context. So in this process, we have to understand what works and what doesn't. And this is the main issue. We will go through this idea along the following minutes. Okay. Now, why does the European Commission support pre-commercial procurement processes? Well, because it develops it's a way to develop breakthrough innovation solutions. In this case, a service organization for specific challenges. Another aspect is it provides first customer references. This means this is part that we're going to facilitate with the creation of markets. So you will be, let's say, the ecosystems where you are going to begin your activities will be supported in order for you to have the elements, all the elements, and the connections. It provides facilitates the access of new innovative players, that is yourselves, to the market. Share the risks and benefits of designing prototyping. We are going to take part of the risks of your projects, of course. Create optimum conditions for wider commercialization and take-up of results. We are going to follow your projects and provide, wherever possible, opportunities for your development. We're going to reduce it's an instrument to reduce market fragmentation, reducing costs for procurers and creating wider markets for companies. We are trying with a procurement process will facilitate the creation of hubs in different areas, right? And of course, it will, through innovation, it should create highly qualified jobs, especially in digitalization area. And again, it is a seal. It can act as a seal of approval of your activities. It's not the same to have a tech hub than to have a digital innovation hub that is supported by a project or is supported by the European Commission or by Smart Africa or okay. Now, the procurement principles, or the principles of the project, in order to make a deal, which is what we want with you, we need to define very well our principles, right? And there are 6 points that have been mentioned earlier everywhere, but I'm going to bring it up here again. It means challenging the African market, inviting up to 12 consortia to set up your DIHs, exploring and comparing pros and cons of alternative solutions of setting up the DIHs in Africa in 3 separate fields, with including a 4th, which is clean tech in as an alternative. We are going to train the consortia for the definition and development of your DIHs, evaluating the proposals at different stages in order to select progressively the best fit solutions. So it will be a challenge between you, as I said, but at the same time, we are going to see an evolution, and it will give the opportunity to all of you to correct and to go forward for the sake of keeping in the project, but also for the sake of learning and being able to set up your DIHs independently and hopefully funded by other projects that we will try to set up to. Okay. Retaining at least 3 participating projects, as I said, and inviting the remaining 9 to continue connected in order to generate the first elements of a Pan-African and hopefully connected to the European Union network of digital innovation hubs. So now we have a second survey, is related to the previous, is what type of organization do I belong to? Okay, Alessandra, can you bring up the survey, please?
Yes, absolutely. It's live already.
Thank you.
Please vote. Yeah. Okay, we have 40% answered.
Okay.
Let's wait a bit because I see that people it's voting. Okay. So at the moment we have 69% votes. Okay, we can then close the poll, and the results are then we have 52% of entrepreneurship organization, incubator and accelerator. 29% it's other university vocational training institutes.
Okay.
8% it's represented by technology hubs, science, technology or innovation parks. 6% it's represented by research and technology organizations. And 4% is represented by public agencies and organizations.
Okay. So what we see is that we have all of we have participants from all the, let's say, the main target groups that we're looking for. This is very positive. Yes, extremely positive. And that yeah, we have not we're not failing in the definition of the groups and their organization. Okay, so that's wonderful. Great. Very good news. Okay, so continuing in the explanation of the procurement process, I will explain I explained in this slide the process has 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and ends at the end of phase 3 in our project. What we call commercial phase will happen after the project, and say that right now we're in phase 1. We're in the pre-commercial tendering. It is the phase where we are discovering who can participate and what type of solutions we're obtaining. All this information that we are receiving today, and your replies on the gear, on the application gear, is information that we are getting, we are achieving, and this will finalize with the first cutoff in January. Now, it is through this first phase that we will get up to 12 DIH proposals we expect. Now the second phase is very important because it is a phase where you are going to elaborate your individual plans, and we are going to provide support to you through the AEDIB step 1 to elaborate these individual plans in order that you are prepared to make your proposals for access to the phase 3. Now, in this second part, the 12 consortia will participate and will move forward in your projects, and we hope it will be useful for all of you. And this is part of the object, or this is the main objective, that we will have 12 hubs who are getting acquainted, 12 projects who are getting acquainted, and will end up knowing very well what a DIH means and what are the opportunities behind setting up DIHs. Finally, phase 3 is the part in which will begin to implement. Actually, it is the part where the operating of the hubs will take place, and it will end up with the definition, with the elaboration of a business plan. And during this process, you will learn about what are the aspects of organizing, of operating, what are the aspects, of course, of funding a digital innovation hub, but also very much related with how to create this ecosystem along around the hub in order to gain strengths to deliver your service. Okay, now it has a first part that is the AEDIB, and then it has a second part that has the pilot phase where you will be mentored. So the dates more or less are: we finalize phase 1 in February with the selection of 12. We will go through the phase 2, the AEDIB, which will end up with the presentation of your individual plans, which will end in July. And finally, we will end the AEDIB in March 2023 and continue with the, let's say, with the pilot phase, and very especially with launching of services from your side from March until the end of the project. Okay, so a collaboration will be maintained with the DIH projects not selected for phase 3. Let's say the 9 that remain will still be connected to the project and will also be called to participate in other in parts of the project, or in other initiatives and phases. This, especially in what we are calling the ecosystem and networks action. Let's say the 12 hubs will remain in and will share and will participate in the marketplaces being created, the angel investor networks, and of course the transcontinental connections that includes the trips. So the 3 winning proposals will be supported in 2 aspects: in ecosystems and network actions, and direct hub actions. Now, direct hubs means AEDIB, in this case 1 and 2, and we will, and for which we will talk about later. We will have reimbursements in phase 3, and a pilot phase, which is pilot and setup, on which you will receive support. Okay, we will create marketplaces, we will generate angel investor networks, and we will provide you connections. Okay, with the diaspora and with the digital innovation hubs in Europe, that with whom you will counterpart and you will share your experience. They will share with yours, and you will understand much better what all this is all about, in order to make your launching more effective, right? One of the things that we talked about is about the division of the technologies. We have 4 specialization areas, technological specialization areas. I would like to know at this moment of the presentation, where are you placed? Now we have the survey number 3, Alessandra. Whenever you want, please.
Yes, it's just been launched, so
right.
Waiting for people voting. It's super fast.
Okay.
So we have already 25%. This is actually one of the most frequent questions about the kind of technology we are looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so we have 66% of votes for the moment. The results are 47% from smart agriculture, 34% digital trade, 13% smart cities, and 6% clean tech.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. It is understandable, right? That the interest in Africa begins in smart agriculture, because it is a relevant and important economic sector. Okay, and of course, digital trade is very important. We have seen that that there are enormous opportunities for African SMEs in the digital trade. Sector, in order to actually gain the major benefit of digitalization, which is commerce and knowledge, and being transferred from places. So it makes a lot of sense what the answers that we are receiving. Okay, anyway, we are interested in all 4, so keep up and let's go forward. Now, this is an important slide. We made this slide because we thought that you would be especially interested in understanding the gives and takes, right? Now, this is where we explain the conditions for payments, and on the upper part of the slide we have the payments that we are going to be making, and what are the conditions required for these payments. Again, let's say we are we are talking about reimbursements. And yes, I said again, it's important to see also the dates, because you will be setting up and getting into costs that you will be interested in getting reimbursed for. Now, in phase 2, let's say the space in which there are 12 participants, there will be a reimbursement for trainees travel. We are going to organize try. It's in the project, but when I say try, it is dependent also on the situation, unfortunately, of the evolution of the pandemic. But we will try by all means as soon as possible to make a training, an on-site training in Africa on the AEDIB Step 1, that is let's say the first part, the elaboration of the individual plans, where we will talk about the ideation of the DIHs. We're going to also talk about the setup of the DIHs on that. So you will receive reimbursement. Now we are thinking about, we have funding for 5 participants, 5 trainees per each of the 12, and up to a maximum amount of 1,000 euros per trainer. And that you will receive the payment upon provision of the expenses receipts, and of course contrasted with the assistance to the workshops of each of the participants. And that will be moving until August 2022, let's say from February, March 2022, February, March 2022 until August 2022. Now, once we are in phase 3, let's say we are talking about the 3 hubs that finalists selected, there will be a first payment short after the selection, that for which you will be paid a 20% of the total reimbursement of 70,000 for the costs that you have incurred during the previous phase, during phase 2, regarding costs of facilities, websites, dissemination materials, intellectual property, consultancy services, and administrative support. Okay, so it has to be, they have to be in these in these concepts, for these concepts, which, by the way, are the concepts that you will provide in the budget that you will be making in the individual plan. We will talk about this a little bit later when it comes to the evaluation process. Okay, but so the idea is you will receive 20%, let's say, very short after you have been selected as one of the 3. Okay, of course they have to be costs. We're not going to ask initially for the receipts, but they have to be costs that are related to those concepts, and which have to be introduced or have to be mentioned in the individual plans. Okay, now the AEDIB will progress here. There will be most of the AEDIB step 2 will take place by online. If we still have money, if we still have resources, we will use the resources of traveling for also this AEDIB step 2 if possible. And of course we will give a second payment in this case for a 30% on the costs of having incurred along the AEDIB step 2. Okay, always for the same concepts and the concepts that were actually introduced in the budget of the individual plans. And this will take place more or less at the end of the AEDIB step 2, which is for March 2023. Okay, and what they are based upon the achievement of KPIs and milestones established in your individual plans. Okay, so let's say once this training part is finished, and you will have provided also a business plan, then you will be able to incur or to reimburse the final payment for the 50%, which can happen anywhere after March 2023. Say it could be immediately after or some months after. It all depends on the capability and, of course, the possibility that you have had to incur into the costs, actually. So that part, that AEDIB pilot phase payment will be more flexible in time, and will especially let's say somehow we can say that it will be upon your selection or at your choice, sooner or later, depending on when you have delivered the business plan and you have finalized the implementation of the work packages that you were that you reflected in the individual plan. And at the end, so we have all the payments made, and there is finally at the end you will deliver, you will be asked to deliver a pilot phase final report, which where you will inform about the progress in the development of the business plan, and you will deliver a continuity and a sustainability plan. Okay, you will draw and outline what you will do to continue in the next months, specific actions for the evolution and the development of the hub. And of course, we will also asking you to confirm and justify what actions you will be taking for the future long-term sustainability of the hub of your projects. Okay. Now that is the part of explaining. I hope it has been clear. If not, you can come up with questions after my presentation. We will have hopefully we will have enough time, yes, for the second part for you to make all the questions. Now let's go to the evaluation process for you to know how your applications will be evaluated. Now, the evaluation, there are three partial evaluations. An evaluation phase after phase 1, which is the selection of the 12, that will provide the selection of the 12 candidates. The evaluation after phase 2, which will provide 3 candidates. And there will be an evaluation after phase 3, which actually is an internal evaluation. There is no selection, as you have seen before, but there is the provision of payments. So somehow we will evaluate we will be, let's say, contrasting the information that you are giving us, validating internally for you to receive those payments. So the first 2 are evaluations to receive. The third one is an internal evaluation on the results that you have provided to us. So there is no condition actually on that. Now, the first, let's talk about phase 1 procurement, where the curiosity-driven research, where what we say is that proposals which do not comply with the eligibility criteria will be excluded, and I will explain the eligibility criteria, although it is very clearly explained in the guide for applicants, and you can go through it very well. But maybe we think that it could be interesting to give you a human touch or a human explanation on the eligibility, and what maybe I can give you some more ideas about what is behind that, right? So we will first do an eligibility check, and we will do then an internal evaluation. Now, the internal evaluation will be done on the basis of 3 criteria, which is relevance, impact, and implementation. Which are the awarding criteria that I will explain later. And all proposals will be evaluated by at least 2 independent qualified AEDIB internal evaluators. Now, the score will be for each criteria and for each of the points from 0 to 5, and the final score will be calculated on the average of the 3 parts of the application form. the relevance, impact, and implementation. For each section, there will be a minimum threshold of 3, and for the total, there will be a minimum threshold of 10 points. Okay? So the maximum is 15, and the minimum total is 10. Now, in case of ties, there will be 5 criteria. The first one is important. It is the earliest cutoff date. Let's say the proposals presented in the first cutoff will prevail over the ones presented in February. Okay, so this is important. The second one is what we understand is the most the aspect or the criteria that we'll ponder most, which is relevance. Relevance having to do with the need and the challenges that you are addressing. Then it will be the implementation, and the impact will be the fourth. And finally, we have to untie. We have established a criteria of the highest date of the application's last day. Okay. Now, if scores from 2 evaluators differ in 4 or more points, it will be discussed and settled in the consensus meeting. That means that we are going to have the evaluators to discuss and arrive in a consensus, and if necessary, with the participation of a third part in case that they do not agree or they do not get to settle the solution. Now, the proposals passing the threshold will be listed in 4 rankings. That means 1 for each of the technology specialization areas that we've talked about. Okay, and then the previous step will be taken after the cutoff date, and each of the cutoff dates. And what we also want to say is that if we see that after the first cutoff date, so this is important again for you to address your proposals. If we find that the quality and the amount are sufficient after the first cutoff date, the ones from the second might not be evaluated. Okay, so pay attention to this. Please target on the first cutoff date, because you will be on a much safer side. Your proposals will prevail. Now, regarding the eligibility criteria, there are 3 aspects of the eligibility criteria. One is for the consortia. The second is about the proposals themselves. And the third one is regarding the application presentation and how it is done. So there are 3. Now, the consortia eligibility, Mark has already talked a little bit about this. The consortia have to be formed by at least 2 organizations. At minimum, an internal agreement to enter the creation of a digital innovation hub aiming a public benefit must be established, not necessarily having it signed, but yes, you will be asked in the declaration of honor whether you have such an internal agreement, and they should have, and this is a recommendation, and these agreements, internal agreements, should follow 4 principles. Number 1 is support companies in their digital transformation, serve the interest of the general public, primarily, and not for profit making. Okay, we talked a little bit about that with Mark. Incidental economic benefit to the consortium of partners, not compete with existing commercial offerings, and identified roles and responsibilities of its consortium members. So these 5 points will give you key elements to establish those agreements among with your partners. Okay. Now, point number C of consortial eligibility is you have to provide services to companies to support the digital transformation and innovation. Those are the type of services. At least 2 consortium members must have minimum 5 full-time staff collaborators. So we're asking for organizations that at least have a certain size. Half of the consortium members must carry out operational activities in the location region. Half. So as Mark expressed, this is the market is local, is regional, okay, and therefore we are addressing organizations who are well settled and who have a certain recognition in the areas, because they are actually they will be players that will be collaborating with the local industries, but also with the local public administration also. Actually, a digital innovation hub will be a partner, should be a partner for policies and to develop policies, right? Now, the consortium members must have complementary expertise in technology, application area, and financial capacity also, okay? So we're asking for a minimum of financial capacity on that. Now, regarding the proposals, the proposal location for the Digital Innovation Hub must be in one of the 55 states of the African Union. The DIH will have a dedicated specialization area in either one of the four technology specialization areas. The DIH, through its members, must provide a list of references. You are asked to provide references and upload a list of references in the application form. And finally, for the application itself, you have to use the website, the gear that we are providing, and we encourage you to go often to the website, because there could be changes anyway. We have the invitation forum, to which we invite you to participate, to take part, where the information will be punctually displayed on any news or any event regarding the invitation. And there will be 2 cutoff dates, one in January 18 and the second one on February 8. Okay, the proposals must be submitted only by these means and before the second cutoff date, and you will provide with your proposals a declaration of honor. And it must be properly presented. Okay. Now, regarding the award criteria, a little bit of ideas regarding these 3 strange words: relevance, impact, and implementation, which are actually words that the European Commission uses for many years already in order to qualify the projects. The first one is relevance. Now, I've taken what the dictionary says about what relevance is, so you can compare a little bit our requirements with the definition itself. Okay. Now, relevance, according to the dictionary, means closely connected or appropriate to what is being done or considered. This means, in terms of the project, that the project has to make clear that it addresses actual needs and opportunities, and that's why I'm putting it in this purple color. Needs and opportunities. There have to be clear needs and opportunities, and it has to be aligned with the objectives of the project, but also with the requirements of other players in the area. And that this could be the public administration, local and regional policies and strategies. Okay, so relevance means that your project will face existing challenges, needs of your regions, and it is aligned with the objectives of the invitation and the local and regional policies, right? And relevance also will be, let's say, expressed in terms of the security on overcoming financial obstacles, building capacity, foster entrepreneurship, and address other major challenges. So actually, everything that has to do with the concept of relevance has to do with addressing needs, being aligned, and doing something that people are interested in you doing. Okay. The second part is impact. Impact means to have a strong effect on someone or something, right? The more powerful your project is, the more resources it has, the more important and relevant your partners are, and the capability that will assure impact, right? Now, but also your idea of the project is tremendously important. If you are able to create a concept that a strong concept, you will of course address impact. So you will have to express in this part what the DIH, or how the DIH will advance in its setup. What is your vision about how it will evolve? That is the concept. And actually what we want here is that actually your project will have the impact is measured, the impact is measured on the how your project will evolve. So actually what you are requested here is to show that your project will actually get to be a digital innovation hub with its effects on the on your area and on your companies. Okay, that number one is the DIH will advance in its setup, and number two is will contribute actually to the competitiveness of its target users. Okay. On the implementation, we want to know the degree of maturity, capacity, and experience previous to the hub. So we know exactly what are your real capabilities and how mature you are in terms of the team and to carry out the work. Now, implementation is the process of putting a decision or plan into effect. So how effective will you be in the implementation? In any case, I must say that we have gone very, very much in detail what we want you to express in your applications. So please follow. I strongly recommend, and I beg you actually to please follow the instructions and make sure that you address each and one of the points that we request or that we give as in the paragraphs that we write down in the paragraphs of each of the excuse me. Of each of the paragraphs, excuse me, please, of the application form. Okay, so this is very important. I mean, each word that we have put, believe us, each word that has been put in the application form has its reason why it's been there. It's been discussed with many people, and we think that we have elaborated a quite fit application form. So please. Make sure that you address each and one. Make yourself the question: have I addressed this point, this other point, etc. Okay. And okay. Now, have you already signed or expect to sign soon some type of agreement with your DH partner, we would like to know a little bit about your degree of maturity. I say again, the eligibility criteria in this phase does not require the signed agreement, but we would like to know how far you are in getting to an agreement and setting up an agreement with your partners. Okay, so this is the fourth survey.
So people start voting. We have 50% already. We wait for some more answers. Okay, we now have a 66%. So the poll is closed, and we have 58% of yes and 42% that say no.
Okay, so we're more or less in 50-50. Well, that's quite good. That's very good. Okay, wonderful. And let's go to the next survey, and the final survey is how many partners will your DIH have?
Okay, so the results are 49% say 3 to 5.
Good.
44% say 2. More than 10, it's 5%, and from 6 to 10 represented 2%.
Okay, so we're in the bottom part. 3 to 5 is very good. 2 is okay, but and it's good for the setup. I mean, this is that's what we're requiring actually. But from 3 to 5 is good. Just as an indication, in Europe there are hubs with 3, and there are hubs with 40. It all depends on how many actually beneficiaries you're going to have, and how many associate partners you're going to have, and how many affiliated entities you're going to have. All of them can form the consortium. But I think it's a very good result what we're getting, that to know that all of you are already thinking about you are all organizing your hubs. Now, again, to go on this part, the consensus meeting. The consensus meeting is where the selection committee will get together to get the results. There will be 4 ranking lists, one for each one of the specialization areas, and the shortlist proposal must cover at least 3 different regions of Africa. This is important. This is why we asked at the beginning, where are the regions from? Because we want to make sure that our outreach is sufficient. Okay, so the 3 proposals, there will be 3 proposals per ranking list, and up to 16. That means, and with an extra one as a reserve. So that means we will have 16 pre-selected that will go to the panel review, and from the panel review we will finally select a maximum of 12. Okay, and there will be an agreement for you to be signed with a contracting partner. In this case, it will be us. It would be Funding Box Accelerator, and we will go directly in the second part. Now, evaluation after phase 2. That is, after you have passed the AEDIB. What are the requirements to enter the evaluation selection? Well, it will be participants who have accomplished phase 2 with active and full participation. That means you have been worked and you have developed an individual plan, and you will be invited. Okay. The individual plan is basically the AEDIB definition and a roadmap. A roadmap which includes work packages for you to develop in the next phase. The individual plans provide essential information for us, okay, about each one of you. So this is very important for us, and it is the basis for the pre-commercial offer base to enter into phase 3. Now, the eligibility for phase 1 still remain, but at this stage you will already have to have signed an MOU, and we will ask you to deliver the MOUs in order to participate in phase 3. Okay. Now, the offers will be presented by the 12 tenderers, and with 4 parts: the description of the work and activities, the budget for the works and activities, very important, so we can actually draw the reimbursements from those budgets, the DIH information update, which is an actually it's an update of any, let's say, formal information that you need regarding a DIH. It could be that the number of participants or the names of the participants have changed, or I don't know, maybe you've even decided to change technology. That is also open, of course, but be able to you have to be able to justify it, okay? Then we will have an evaluation also. We will have the KPIs and milestones to deliver along phase 3. And well, the pre-commercial procurement offers after phase 2 will be evaluated based on three criteria: the DIH project description, and we will follow absolutely what was done on phase 1: relevance, impact, and implementation. And actually, the most important is the consistency of the works and activities with your plan, with your individual plan, and the budget consistency, okay? And final price. Now, the final price is we will not pay attention to that. So it's not a question of reducing the price, because we have a budget and we want you to spend the budget, okay? So let's say you are all invited to use the maximum of the budget. What we are going to look after and look for is that actually that budget is consistent what you are saying you are going to do, okay? There will not be a panel review in this case, and at the end what we're going to have is we're going to have 3 specialized areas and 3 selected tenderers who will enter into an amendment of the previous one with the previous cooperation agreement with the contracting party, which again is Funding Box, okay? And all the other tenderers will, of course, be invited to join future projects. Now, the evaluation process for phase 3, and this is my last slide, goes into an internal evaluation. The main purpose is to establish an assessment regarding the results and outcomes of the 3 AEDIs during this phase. It is therefore an internal AEDIB evaluation, and the assessment will be obtained through the evaluation of the work progress, the KPIs, and evaluation of the business plans. Now, this will be made through 4 deliverables: the final deliverable, the pilot phase deliverable, the progress meeting reports, and internal assessments. And this will contribute, and this is, let's say, closing the circle to our results. Your results will be ours. The lessons that we've learned with you will be our lessons. they will mean our improvement, and this will be of absolutely essential importance for the continuity of our project. So finally, thank you very much for putting your talent to work on this, because I think, and we all know, that we are all going to win. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm a little bit late on time. I'm very sorry. And now we can get into the questions and answers. Alessandra, whenever you want. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rafael. So the questions we've got are mainly regarding something has been covered, but partially. So let's start with the idea of consortium. So most of the questions have been focused on the condition to apply. Do we need to have to stay all in the same country in the region of Africa? And can we still be applying if none of the consortium members have 5 full-time staff? Maybe we can start with this one.
Okay, now the first one is the region. You do not, the members of the DIH, the partners of the DIH, do not have to be all in the same region, okay? They do not have to be all in the same region. What we're asking them is that we're asking them to be placed, at least, as we're saying, at least 2 will have to be placed in a certain area, but you can introduce partners from other regions. The thing is that your focus targets, your users, your market will be in the specific areas, in the specific region where you are placed. Okay, so actually you can have a European DIH who can be your partner, or as we heard previously, a university, but you have to be focused on a certain region. That is number 1. Okay, second question.
Okay, perfect. Then second question was regarding the survey number 2 that has no category for private companies. So does it mean that companies are excluded from teaming in the consortium?
Absolutely not. Actually, private companies are included in the guide for applicants. Okay. The reason why we haven't put it in the survey is because the survey gives a maximum of 5, and I think the number in the guide for applicants is up to 13, 14. Okay, and we should consider that the private company should go in others. So the guide for applicants says very well, names very well about 13, 14, but additionally. It says that it is open to any other type of organization, whatever. Okay.
Okay, perfect. And then when you talk about entrepreneurship organization, can a tech company register?
Again, yes, of course. A technology provider is a normal participant, or is one of the normal participants of a DIH, but he has to understand that his activity in the DIH is not for profit, or is low benefit. Okay, so it's the purpose is to assist the companies and not to make profit. Okay.
Perfect. Okay, and later the last one we have is what does the European Commission or European country get out of this kind of support, like the project purpose?
It's very important, and it's very important in sense of connection, in sense of connectivity. Actually, we understand, the European Commission understands that single markets are not beneficial. We have to make global markets, and digitalization is an activity that provides us with that in a very easy way, in a very easy way. Yeah. So it has to do with having knowledge coming in and coming out, and connecting commerce, connecting industries, and this will, of course, provide European companies also a scope, a vision of needs apart from the European Commission where it can be, and we hope that it can also stimulate and develop initiatives in Africa to improve innovation and have new innovations and creativity being stimulated there. Yes.
Perfect.
I would suggest
Thanks.
that maybe Mark can come in also on this part, and he can also join in with the replies of the questions.
Yes,
Thank
of
you.
course. Like, just taking the occasion to repeat, also to remind that all these questions we are gonna share this question later on after the webinar. So no worries for if somebody lost the opportunity to hear. Okay, please, Mark.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah. Mark, you're muted. Alessandra,
Yeah.
Marta?
It should be okay now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Alessandra, for allowing me to speak out. So yeah, of course, I mean, the question is what is in there, what's interest of the European Commission, as we have said. I mean, first of all, what we do believe, we believe really very strongly in mutual beneficial partnerships. So we believe that together we can as well address those, let's say, rather big challenges that all of us are facing in the future, be it climate-induced, the human-induced climate change, be that the pandemic situation that we all develop. So we believe that we can only tackle those problems if we join forces. And this is one of the, let's say, small initiatives and small things where we can actually exercise that and push this as well forward. So I really see this as being the major and overall interest from the political side there in this project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Okay, just checking if we have any more question for us. Seems that no, that everything was finally covered.
Maybe I would like to take maybe this opportunity to say, first of all, extend my gratitude, my thanks to Raphael and Alessandra. First of all, Raphael, for you for having explained so thoroughly and I think so well condensed the way forward of the invitation. Also, Alessandra, for organizing that. I would really like to encourage all of you who are on the call to hand an application, because we have this AEDIB project, and this is something we have fixed that we are now commissioned with, where we have the budget and the resources where we can commit to those things that you have seen now. And I would like to, as I've mentioned or briefly introduced in the very beginning, we are working on a larger thing that will follow up, that will build upon this. So really, really encouraging you to hand in applications, to get in contact with us, so that when we start with this larger and we are starting to scale it up, that we have already your contact, that we have already your ideas, that we can build upon that and expand on that. So as we said, please hand your applications in, let us know your thoughts, your visions, your ideas. And I think that's sufficient. Then jointly, as part of the AEDIB lab training and capacity development that Raphael has presented, put a bit more detail into it, flesh it out a bit more then, and see how we move forward.
Yes, that's it. Very well. From our side, I would say, please join the invitation forum. We want to be, we want that invitation forum to be the first cell of a community of people who are interested in DIHs in Africa. Actually, we have created this invitation forum under the linked to the DINet initiative of the European Commission. So this is an invitation for all of you to participate and to begin to share ideas about DIHs, innovation, hubs, creativity, and sharing knowledge. So thank you really very much. It's been an honor, and I hope I hope all this we're doing is very useful to all of you, and it brings in new concepts and ideas if possible, and encourage you to stimulate your imagination on creating new organizations for innovation and digitalization.
Perfect. Okay, one last question, because we have
good.
somebody, yes, asking for the slides. Yeah, for slides that you shared during the presentation. So for sure, we are gonna share some documents after the meetings, and with some clarification, of course, of the actual new question that we might have, you guys might have. Okay. Okay, so should be everything for the moment for this first webinar. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will be in touch for the very next one.
Yes, exactly, coming soon. So
thank you so much.
We need ideas. We need your questions in order to prepare the next one more fit and tailored to what to the questions that that still have not been fulfilled in this one. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.